At this time, I would like to invite you to join us in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. This meeting is held in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. The news media has been notified, and a copy of the agenda has been made available to the public. This meeting is open to the public, and the public is welcome to attend in person. All persons wishing to attend this meeting by virtual means may do so via YouTube, Sumter School District Board Meetings, and Sumter School District Facebook page. Vision. Sumter School District is committed to educating, empowering, and enriching the lives of all students to reach their full potential. Mission. Sumter School District is committed to providing a safe, nurturing, and high-quality educational environment that supports diversity and equips students for local and global success. Your board members are yours truly, Barbara Jackson, Area 7 Chairwoman, Dr. J. Frank Baker, Seat 8 Vice Chair, Dr. Darrell McGaney, Area 5 Clerk, Mr. Brian Alston, Area 1, Mrs. Cheryl Ray, Area 2, Mr. Mac McLeod, Area 3, Dr. John B. Hilton, Area 4, Dr. Gloria Lee, Area 6, Dr. Sean Reagan, Area 9, Mrs. Denise R. Jones, Shore Air Force Representative, Dr. William T. Wright, Jr., our Superintendent, and Ms. Shantae Scott, our Administrative Manager to the Superintendent and the Board of Trustees. Good afternoon. This meeting is called to order. Welcome to Alice Drive Middle School. I want to thank Principal Jeannie Presley and her staff for hosting this meeting. It is my pleasure to again welcome our Superintendent, Dr. William Wright, to Sumter School District. Tonight is the board's first meeting for the 22-23 school year, and I want to officially introduce you to our community, Dr. Wright.
Thank you.
At this time, would you please address your community?
Want to take just a minute or two to say, first of all, good evening to those that are in attendance, as well as the Sumter community at large. I'm absolutely thrilled and excited to have accepted this assignment to be superintendent of Sumter School District. I am grateful to the Board of Trustees sitting to my left and right for affording me this opportunity to serve children and to continue to move outcomes forward for our students, as well as take care of the needs of our staff. I've been here, this is day 18 that I've been superintendent of the school district, and certainly have learned a lot already about how we operate and will continue to do so. We're going to work to do that through what I like to call the AAA strategy, which is ask, assess, and analyze. So not only will we be talking to people that are on our staffs and are paid to give me information, but we'll also be reaching out to the community, taking advantage of opportunities to immerse myself in the community to make sure that we are learning about how to best serve us. We have an amazing school district, I believe. I'm looking forward to us moving from what I believe is a good school district to a great school district. But I cannot do that alone. Don't expect to do that alone. We have to do that collectively and together. Hence a theme that we have created that you'll hear a lot more about that uses the words, the letters in the word Sumter. The S stands for Sumter. The U is unified. The M and T are masterfully teaching. We're going to conduct masterful teaching in our district. And we have an expectation for everyday results. And then you'll see very shortly the 4 pillars that we're going to use that will drive education. I believe wholeheartedly that instruction in the 21st century certainly looks different than it has ever looked before. The way that we go about educating children in the future, 21st century and beyond, has to look different and feel different. And so over the years, I've developed a philosophy called the 3 E's of education. All lessons have to be engaging. That's the first E. Must be engaging. We must have the opportunity to make sure that students are exposed to good learning. That's the second E, exposure, and exposing them to the right things. And then thirdly, and I believe most important for a district that combines inner city and rural kids, we educate both here in Sumter, is this whole thing called exploration. And so those are the 3 E's of education that I believe are essential with us moving forward. I'm absolutely thrilled to be the superintendent of Sumter School District. We are going to rise above all that has happened in our past, and we're going to make sure that we have a prosperous future moving forward. And so with the help of the folks sitting to my left and right, and you, I look forward to a wonderful experience. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Wright. Let's get.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
We are delighted to have you as our superintendent, and we look forward to your leadership and working with you along the way.
Thank you,
So
Madam
thank
Chair.
you so much again.
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, we are going to have a public hearing for our proposed FY 2023 proposed budget. The 2.1 is fiscal year 2023 proposed budget. And at this time, I will open the floor for the public budget hearing as announced by the newspaper. Is there anyone who wishes to make any public comments regarding the proposed budget? Any public comments regarding the proposed budget? Come to the table, please, and you may be seated there, Mr. Schultz. Thank you.
With no impact on my public participation.
Thank you.
It appears as if, correct me if I'm wrong, Columbia says you're going to get $145,473,871. Final version. District proposes we need $146,673,000. How about now? Here we go, I'm sorry. We'll start again. The final version from coming out of Columbia says that we're going to get $145,473,871. The district is proposing a budget for year 2023 of $146,673,000. $673,871. You're about 1.2 short of what you need. So your relationship with our county and that $2 million kind of would straighten all that out, I guess. But here is my input on this topic. In this budget, we've got a $12 million increase, and we budgeted $30,000 for security more than what we currently have. Is there anybody on this board that feels that's a sufficient amount given what's happening in our schools security base-wise? Thank you.
Okay, any further comments regarding the proposed budget? Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Any further comments regarding the proposed budget? If so, please come to the mic at the table. Hearing none, with no further comment, the public hearing is now closed at 6:15 p.m. Thank you for your public participation in the public hearing. We are now down to the public participation, and I will go over the guidelines for public participation. The Board of Trustees is pleased to offer time at the regular monthly meeting each month for public participation, both in person and electronically. According to our policy, the board will allocate 15 minutes at the onset of each regular meeting for the public to address the board. The chairman reserves the right to limit discussion of same topic issues in an effort to provide individuals the opportunity to be heard on a variety of topics. Public participation will not exceed 3 minutes for each individual unless waived by a majority vote of the board. Consideration may be given for a public hearing for gaining input on crucial issues. Speakers may offer objective comments on school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit in public sessions any expression of personal complaint or individual school personnel or any other person connected with the school system. At this time, we will open the floor for public comments not to exceed 15 minutes or 3 minutes for each participant. Following the in-person comments, Executive Director of Communications and Community Engagement, Ms. Shelley Galloway, will read the electronic submission if there be any. We have 2 persons for public participation, and the first person that I'd like to call is it Ayana Richburg? And she wants to address policy and procedures. Thank you, Ms. Richburg. Just have a seat there.
Good evening. I'm asking tonight, why is the board having discussion and taking action on an operational matter concerning employee children and assignment of school? Dr. Martin Knox addressed this issue in June and advised against the changes, and if Dr. Wright does the same, is the board going to continue to meddle in operations against the superintendent? Let's remind the public once again that the same file since 2011. We are hoping that this time around, if you cannot help the superintendent, do not hinder the superintendent. The community needs answers. We still haven't had any kind of feedback about the bullying and the incidents that's happened last school year with the bullying issues, and we need answers. Come voting time, we hope the remaining 5 since 2011 will be replaced with people that's willing to work and hear the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richburg. Our next person that have signed up for public participation is Mr. Keith Schultz. And he's speaking in reference to the SEL-related funds.
Forgive me. Welcome, Superintendent.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'm still confused. Got a response from Madam Chair, nice letter, during my last appearance as I inquired about social and emotional learning and how much money came from the government to implement that process into our school system. And, how much money was it? What exactly are we doing about it? We know you put it in your 5-year plan, but I still do not know how much money you got for it and what are the stipulations. If I could get somebody to just give me an answer. Thank you.
Did you get that, what he's talking about? Okay, thank you, Mr. Schultz. Ms. Galloway, do you have any electronic, okay. Having no electronic submission, Ms. Galloway will not make a report tonight. Are you Mr. Duggan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just a moment, sir. I have you. Okay. We're now down to 4.2, input on request to name Sumter High School bullpen and athletic training room. Mr. Joey Duggan is here, and he would like to speak on behalf of that.
Thank you for your time. And welcome, Dr. Wright, to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board, for allowing me to be here just to speak briefly. My name's Joey Duggan. I'm a member here. I've been living in this Sumter community all my life. I went to Sumter High School with Sumter School District my whole life. I'm a 1988 graduate of Sumter High School, class president of 1988 for my senior year. I was a member of the 1987 Sumter High School State Championship football team. All of my children went to Sumter School District and graduated and played sports as well. The thing that I'd like to just mention briefly, and I did actually write there was the ability to be able to write in to the school district online. So I wanted to read just briefly just what I put, and then I'll just have a few more comments. And this has to do with the naming of the training room and the bullpen at Sumter High School. It says, I'm in complete agreement with the naming of the athletic training room in honor of Coach Gary Nelson. He has been affiliated with Sumter High School for over 38 years and has assisted up to 27,000 student athletes over this time frame. He is well respected in his profession with a proven local, state, and national accomplishments. He has dedicated his entire adult life to the student athletes of Sumter High School and our Sumter School District. It is without hesitation and forethought that I fully recommend the naming of the training room at Sumter High School in his honor. Now, some things I want you to consider. We have teachers that have taught careers throughout our school district. And most of the time, throughout their career, they do not stay in the same classroom. They typically change grade levels. They typically will move classroom to classroom throughout their career. In Coach Gary Nelson's favor, he has never left that training room. He's been there for 38 years, never left it. Joe Norris, the same way. He has been teaching. He's a coach, and he is an athlete and went through Sumter High School and played baseball, and he actually deserves that recognition as well to name that bullpen after him. And the last thing I want you to keep in mind, and that is the advertisements that we see at all of our ball fields in Sumter School District, all of our high schools. They're going to be on the press boxes, they're going to be on the scoreboards. All of those are advertisements. They pay to be able to put those advertisements up there. As long as they pay, they continue to stay. This is what I'm asking you. How many years does somebody have to sacrifice as an educator, as an athletic trainer, as a coach, to have their name put on a door of a classroom or on the side of a bullpen? How much does that cost? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Duggan. Ms. Galloway?
Chairwoman Dr. Jackson, Vice Chairman Dr. Baker, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Wright. We did have an electronic survey for the community and our staff to fill out. We did receive 157 responses, and those responses were included in were loaded in board docs prior to the meeting. Of those responses, overwhelmingly, the feedback was extremely positive. 155 out of the 157 was positive and in favor of naming the facilities after these two gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Galloway. Okay. We're now moving down to board communication. And trustees, are there any announcements at this time?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Alston.
Can everyone hear me? I'd just like to thank Ms. Jones as well as Ms. Galloway for sharing an opportunity that I was able to participate in. The MIC3 Compact 101 Compact Training facilitated by the Military Interstate Children's Compact Commission on June 22nd. I think it was a great opportunity. I actually learned a lot about the Military Interstate Children's Compact and how it helps to serve our military students and families. And I think it's an opportunity for us as a board to do professional development so that we can better serve that community and population as well. At the conclusion of the training, I was able to receive a certificate of completion that I'm happy to share, that I scored a 100 on the quiz. So I have received that certification. As well, this past week, I was able to join in a facilitated discussion on early warning systems for the Everyone Graduate Center at the Johns Hopkins University. And it was an in-depth conversation with like-minded peers on the conversation of early warning systems in our schools and how we relate across school districts across the country, looking at early warning signs to determine student success and student dropout rates, and how we can work together to improve on that. So that was an opportunity that I would like to share with you all and hope to be able to bring some more additional information back. I think we're going to have a follow-up conversation as well, and so I look forward to that discussion as well. But I just wanted to share those two opportunities with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alston, for those updates. We appreciate that. Any other persons with any announcements to share? Hearing none. Do we have any board recognitions? We will now move down to committee reports. Trustees, are there any committee reports or updates at this time? Okay, hearing none. Dr. Hilton, do you have a legislative update for us?
Yes, Madam Chair, the legislative update has been loaded into board docs. It primarily focuses on the legislative process, developing the budget. So it is a bit dated, but it will give you some insight into that process. It's loaded in your board docs now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hilton. Okay, we're now down to 5.5, discussion of provision to enrollment of employee children. And per the request of Dr. Hilton, would you like to begin by sharing with us the rationale? And all board members will be able to provide input on this if you so desire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, ma'am, we've been discussing this now for several months, actually, at several different board meetings regarding giving our employees I said we've been discussing this for several months at several different board meetings about giving our employees the privilege of enrolling their children in the school of their choice. I think that our employees deserve that privilege. I think it is a good recruitment tool. As you may be aware, we are recruiting teachers and parapros and all employees. We are not fully staffed as of this moment, and I see it as a recruitment tool that will help us attract teachers and parapros and support staff to our school district. We have in the past, teachers and employees have been asked to submit a request through open enrollment, and this proposal would put employees on a different track, if you will. They would not be placed, those requests would not go through open enrollment. Those requests would be on a separate track specific to employees. That's why I think it's a good idea, that it's a good perk. It shows our appreciation for the service of our employees, and I really can't see how it could cause any problems. That's why I requested that we have a discussion about it this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Hilton. Do you have anyone to weigh in on that? Yes, Dr. Reagan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have a few issues with it. I guess I just need understanding. But the last time I checked, I believe this is a policy already in place, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it's policy JCA, which speaks to the language, or almost to the language that Dr. Hilton is trying to, I guess, speak about on this evening. And the last time I checked, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this work is operational, and I believe the only thing that we should be involving ourselves in is the policy aspect. I think it's written in the policy where I believe the superintendent has the say-so to make that decision. And so that's just one of the issues that I have with it, but I'll yield to other board members at this time, but I'm not in agreement with it for those particular reasons.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Dr. Rose?
I make the motion that we send this concern to the board, the committee board, the policy board, that the policy board will review this, and we will get back with the committee as well as with the superintendent.
Is that a motion?
Madam Chair, I believe that motion is out of order.
Okay.
She's saying that action is required in 9.6.
We already have an action item on the agenda.
Madam
Well,
Chair.
there was not a second, so the motion dies.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Alston.
I have a couple of questions that I need clarification on, because how the current policy is written. The current policy states, if a full-time employee resides in a zone and works in another, it is permissible, with approval of the superintendent, for his or her child to attend the schools in the zone of his or her choice, space permitting. So my question for Dr. Hilton, or those that are in favor of moving in a different direction, are you saying that you don't want it to say space permitting, that you want it to be a guaranteed? Or are you saying that you want there to be a separate process for employees of the district to go through outside of the general public?
May I respond, Madam Chair?
Yes.
My personal feeling is yes, to address Mr. Reagan's comments as well. It would be a policy change. The policy would change in that employees would not go through open enrollment, and that, yes, it would be an automatic placement, and they would have a different procedure than the general public. Employees are not the general public. The general public is different from employees, and they would have a different procedure, which would be to their benefit. It's true, employees are part of the general public, but employees and the general public have different roles in the school district. So this would be an opportunity for us to reward, if you will, those that are employed in the school district and give them a perk and a privilege that, by virtue of their working here, would be to their benefit. And it would be a policy change, yes.
Madam Chair.
Who's that? Yes, Mr. Alston.
So, thank you for that clarification. My concern stems from spacing at grade levels, class sizes, staff availability. We just went before council to ask for a millage increase, and my councilman made the argument that there is inequities between city schools and rural schools. And what I foresee happening with a policy change of this magnitude is that you're going to further see the inequities in schools, because what you're going to see is a migration of students from rural schools to city schools, but also staffing is going to have to follow those students as well. And so you're going to further perpetuate that issue of there being inequities in our schools. We just spent over $50,000 on a realignment study to address building utilization, and now we're talking of a policy change that will circumvent that whole process. Yes, employees deserve a perk, but also we have employees that will be applying for this process that would have to deal with the increase in classroom sizes. We're already in the middle of a teacher shortage and a staffing shortage. So we're going to pull from other schools to accommodate the increase at the schools that we're seeing this influx of students going to? Are we going to magically come up with this magic dollar amount to fill every vacancy at schools that now we have an influx of students at? These are the fiscal impacts of making this policy change. I think we did agree at our last policy meeting for there to be a separate standalone process for employees, but they still would go through the same process as the general public, space permitting and staff availability, because we can't just say we're going to guarantee. We've seen from the data that was shared with us over the weekend that every employee that applied for an open enrollment and an out-of-zone request was granted that request. It just so happened we didn't see a large number that would cause an issue when it comes to classroom sizes, staffing availability in our schools, and the reallocation of resources. We're talking about literally days a few weeks before the start of school to make a drastic policy change that will impact scheduling. And from our conversation with you, you will want this to be immediate. And I don't know what teachers you have spoken to that said this is the reason they're leaving the district is because they're not guaranteed open enrollment or out-of-zone requests. Teachers are leaving this district in a mass exodus because of the actions of this board and because of drastic changes to policy like this and because of compensation. We're not going to compete with neighboring districts because we're offering guaranteed open enrollment or out-of-zone requests to staff. So I do have an issue with guaranteeing, because yes, it's an operational matter where the superintendent will need to look at grade level availability, will need to look at class sizes, will need to look at staff availability at these schools as well, that we're going to see an influx of students moving to because of a guaranteed open enrollment or out-of-zone policy for staff. So I think we need to proceed with caution with this. I would ask that we refer this back to the policy committee to have further discussion with our superintendent and the policy committee, as well as getting community input from those that serve on the policy committee as well. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Anyone else for discussion?
Madam Chair.
Yes, Dr. McGaney.
Madam Chair.
Turn it on down.
I concur with the policy chairman. Madam Chair, I think this issue, because we have a policy on it and there's much needed discussion, and I think it's something that the new superintendent need to be involved in it. So I think we should table this discussion and send it to the policy committee, and then the policy committee can bring back, some results from that.
Thank you, Dr. McGaney. Any other input?
May I,
May I just read a statement from me? You've put the question on, so the thing of it is, let's get the input and then we'll give you the opportunity to speak again. I would just like to read a statement that I'm submitting in response to the request, and it says, my fellow board members, I call to your attention policy BG/BGD, school board policies, process, board review of administrative rules, BDE-R, board committees, and JCA, alignment of schools to schools. In my effort as chairwoman and doing due diligence, I called the maker to try to clarify my position on the agenda of the item proposed motion. I have no issue with reviewing the policy. However, my problem lies in the fact that we are not following the board policy procedures. BDE-R clearly states, the policy committee is to serve as a forum for discussion and formulation of recommendation to the board regarding addition, deletions, modification to board policies and regulation to ensure compliance with federal, state, and local law and regulations, and to provide a policy structure for excellence in all aspects of school district governance and operation. The policy committee is charged with reviewing all policies that the district is considering, adopted or amending before forwarding them to the full board for consideration. My plea today to my fellow board members, please, let's follow board policy and do what is right for all children, Sumter School District, and the community. I contend that our present policy, JCA, suffices until it can be reviewed and sent to the Board of Trustees for approval. If a full-time employee, and this is what JCA says, if a full-time employee resides in a zone and work in another, it is permissible, with approval of the superintendent, for his or her child to attend the school in the zone of his or her choice, space permitting. I am requesting and I am recommending that we refer this back to the policy committee for review so that we can be in compliance and follow the policy and the procedures for this board. Let's start off right, please, so that we can end up right. I do appreciate you for listening, because I do feel that when we do what's right for Sumter School District and all children together and united, we can make a difference. Any other comments? And I will enter that statement, give that to the secretary to go into the minutes. I'm just begging that we do what's in guidelines with policy. Any other discussion? If not, thank you. And we will now move down to the superintendent's report. Dr. Wright, will you please proceed with the items listed under your section?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, first of all, I want to say thank you to each of you for entrusting this work into me. I've said that already once tonight, but I really do count it a privilege and an honor to be superintendent of Sumter School District. You all took a chance on a young man that grew up in Nash County, North Carolina. We don't have anywhere here that's any more rural than where I grew up. So I'm at home being in the rural parts of our county as well as the inner city. And so I also want to thank everyone that I have spoken with so far. Has given me some amazing information and welcomed me. I even slipped over to Irmo, to a bowling alley. As soon as I walked in, somebody said to me, "Aren't you the new superintendent in Sumter School District?" So first of all, I learned two lessons. One is wherever I go, somebody's looking. But the other one is that people are really excited about the work that we are about to embrace in here. And so trust and transparency, open lines of communication, and fostering relationships with our stakeholder groups are at the core of what we're going to seek to do here as superintendent and as the Board of Trustees as well. And they're absolutely imperative to our success. Schools in 2022 and beyond require us to be unified in our efforts to improve outcomes for children. So I look forward to the opportunity to continue to immerse myself in this Sumter community and to work closely with those dedicated staff who are here to serve, support, and strengthen the Sumter School District. Let me say that again. It is our duty as the adults who work on behalf of children and those who serve them directly to serve, support, and strengthen the Sumter School District. Over the past couple of weeks, I've had an opportunity to meet, visit schools. That effort is not going to end at the end of this week. I'll be visiting schools, be in and out the whole time, because that's what I do. I love to visit schools and see learning in place and in progress, not to micromanage, but to inform and make sure that we get better. Again, keeping in mind that serve, support, and strengthen mindset. And so the various departments that we have in our district are also working diligently to plan professional development sessions that'll be forthcoming to ensure that our schools are ready to go and repairs have been made and that we're ready to welcome students in just short of a month. We'll be back in school, believe it or not. And so we're looking forward to welcoming our staff and students to the 2022-2023 school year. Madam Chair, members of the board, I look forward to being able to have and expound a lot more on this opportunity for around the district as things move forward. But in 18 days, we certainly have gotten off to a good start, and I'm proud of that start. So at this time, I'd also like to recognize our Executive Director of Student Support Services, Ms. Veron Davis, to come forward and recognize some athletes from Sumter, from the Sumter School District who won some interscholastic unified track and field awards at the Special Olympics.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can come with me. Yes, ma'am.
Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Good afternoon. Board Chair Dr. Jackson, Vice Chair Dr. Baker, other board members, Superintendent Dr. Wright. We are so excited that 5 athletes qualified and represented the state of South Carolina and Sumter High School recently at the Special Olympics USA Games in Orlando, Florida. Special thanks to coaches, Ms. Quarles, and newly appointed principal, Ms. Sandor, who cannot be with us tonight. She's at a conference in Texas, parents and athletes for all their hard work and dedication to unified sports. Sumter High School also partnered with the Unified Partners from the upstate of South Carolina. Colt Workman from Woodmont High School and Brianna Simmons from Southside High School volunteered with the team. Sumter High School has received many accolades from the state of South Carolina for their commitment and dedication to unified sports. Special thanks also to BNT for creating and donating the uniforms that our team wore at the Special Games in Orlando. The results, as I call your name, please come forward and stay for a group photo as well. First, I'd like to recognize our Coach Quarles, who's with us tonight. Sumter High School Interscholastic Unified Track and Field. Preston Boatwright athlete. 100-meter run, bronze medal. 200-meter run, 5th place. Sierra Davis Waller, athlete. 100-meter run, bronze. 200-meter run, gold. Aaron Richardson, athlete. 100-meter run, 4th place. 200-meter run, 5th place. Shania Robinson, athlete. 100-meter run, 6th place. 200-meter run, 6th place. Megan Jameson, Unified Partner, 100-meter run, 4th place. 200-meter run, bronze. Additional accolades for our team members. Unified Bowling Doubles, adults, Heather Miller, is a paraprofessional at Sumter High School. Unified Partner Unified Doubles, bronze. Bronze Unified Team receive a silver medal for bowling. Ms. Miller was joined by the former Sumter High graduate Robin Tintian in the Unified Adult Bowling competition. Overall, numerous personal best times. Congratulations again to all our athletes who represented our state and this district so well in this competition. And Coach Quarles just has a quick comment.
Once we finish with the photos, the athletes and partners are going to pass out the South Carolina trading pin. Athletes and partners received these pins, and we traded them the week we were there with the other states, and there were also some countries from the Caribbean that were there. So Aruba and Haiti were really big to try to find and get their pins. So we have pins for y'all to have.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Davis, and I'll tell you, I'm so proud of our athletes for being such champions and bringing back the gold. We do appreciate you for representing us, and an excellent job. To the advisors that worked with them, we give you accolades. Without you, that would not have been possible. So we do want you to know that we certainly appreciate you and your efforts to make sure that all of this happened for our children, which they rightfully deserve. Thank you. We appreciate each and every one of you, and if they're not here tonight, please let them know that we do applaud them and just say, keep up the good work, and we ask that you continue to coach them and guide them. So let's give them another big round of applause. Thank you again, Mrs. Davis, for your leadership. Okay, Dr. Wright, the next one is yours.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, we would like to have this opportunity to talk about general obligation bonds. We have a representative here. Sir, if you'll come on up, just in case there are questions from the Board of Trustees.
Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Wright, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Hadn't seen you in quite a while with the pandemic. It is really nice to be here in person tonight. This resolution is much like what you see most years. It authorizes taking care of the payments due for your installment purchase revenue bonds that are due in December and June of each year, and there's also an amount in there for your annual capital projects, and you split that money between the spring and the fall. We'll be sizing the issue at the direction of the board, but what we have done in the past is sized it to keep you at your 60 mil levy that you've had for debt service.
Madam Chair, that is the recommendation coming from administration. Any questions?
Okay, is there anything else? No. Is there anything else we have to do? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you. Yes, sir. Madam Chair, that closes my superintendent's report for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wright, and I thank those of you that participated in the Around the District Superintendent's report. We certainly appreciate you. All right, per the agenda, the board is now ready to enter into executive session As a reminder, there is no set time frame for this portion of the meeting. We invite our in-person guests as well as our online viewers to join us again when we return to open session. If by chance you are unable to be with us at that time, we wish that you have a pleasant, safe week and continue to enjoy your summer vacation. Thank you. Trustees, is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Madam Chair, I move that we enter into executive session, and this is for the purpose of discussion of individual student matters, transfers, in and out of district, the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or release of an employee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and second that there is a motion and a second that the board enters into executive session for the discussion of individual student matters, transfers in and out of district, the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or release of an employee. Are there any questions or any discussion? If not, please cast your vote. Is it coming up on our screen, or you just want a show of hands?
Unanimous. It's unanimous. I don't see it, but you said it was unanimous.
Did you get a count, Ms. Scott? It did not light up on the screen, so I'll just do a hand vote. Yeah.
All right.
Show of hands, Mr. McLeod, Dr. Hilton. Did it come up on your screen?
No, ma'am.
Just show of hand, please, if you're...
Is this for in favor of?
Yes, in favor of going into executive session. Okay. The motion passes, and the board is now in executive session. Again, thank each of you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'd like to start with personnel report number 1. We're recommending approval as amended.
Madam Chair, I move that the board accepts the superintendent's recommendation and approves personnel report number 1 for June.
Second.
All right. A motion has been made and second that the board accepts the recommendation of the superintendent and approves the personnel report. Is there any questions or discussion? Number 1, is there any discussion? Please cast your vote.
There it is.
Show of hands, please.
You got it now.
Oh, mine didn't pop up.
Yeah. Well, you in
I got to go back to it. I got to go back to the agenda, huh?
hers is up there.
I have it, Shante. I'm sorry.
We're very fine.
Motion passes. Is that what you're saying, Shante? Okay, the motion passes. All right, Dr. Wright, is there a recommendation for 9.2 A?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. It's a recommendation that has been reviewed for personnel report number 2.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we grant a hearing to employee A in order to consider her appeal regarding the superintendent's recommendation, with such appeal scheduled to be heard on August 8th, 2022 at 7:15 p.m. at Oakland Primary School. The board chairperson is so to notify the employee.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Give me that motion, I didn't read it. A motion has been made and second that we grant a hearing for employee A in order to consider her appeal regarding the superintendent's recommendation, with such appeal scheduled to be heard on August 8th, 2022, beginning at 7:15 p.m. at Oakland Primary School. The board chairperson is to so notify the employee. All in favor? Is there any discussion? Please cast your vote. Oh,
Motion passes.
the motion passes. Okay, Dr. Wright, is there a recommendation regarding the employee B?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, the recommendation is for non-renewal for employees B and C on the personnel report 3.
Madam Chair, I move that we authorize the board chairperson to execute an order on behalf of the Board of Trustees affirming the non-renewal for employment of professional employee B, for the 2022-2023 school year, based on such order being prepared by legal counsel and having been reviewed by the board.
I'm not, where is that in my where is that in my document? Is that motion,
Yeah, it should be.
which motion is that you just read?
Mac made the motion.
Yeah, I'm asking, which motion did you read?
B?
B? Which, I'm trying to find it on here so that I can repeat it.
It should be right here, see right there?
Right there.
Yeah. And then, there you go.
Okay. Okay. It has been moved and second that we authorize the board chairperson to execute an order on behalf of the Board of Trustees affirming the non-renewal for employment of a professional employee B for the 2022-23 school year, based on such order being prepared by legal counsel and having been reviewed by the board. Is there any discussion? Who seconded that motion?
I found out.
Hilton, did you? Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay, Dr. Hilton seconded. I thought that he did. Are there Is there any discussion? Please cast your vote.
I have a question. When we said, did we do B and C?
No, just B. That was just B.
That was just B, that's what I said, B.
Our vote says B and C.
Yeah, because superintendent recommended B and C, but the motion just read B, so either we include the motion to include B and C to
Yeah.
align with the superintendent's recommendation.
Did we redo it? Yeah.
Well, you can just do both of them, Mac, would you?
Okay. You got to do it before you vote. Going back.
Mr. Mack is going to do B and C rather than do we need to do separate motions, though?
Separate motions.
I think it needs to be separate motions.
Yes.
So, Mac, you just did B. So that will hold. Let's vote. Did we vote on B?
No, you got to
Let's vote.
You got to redo the motion. Both orders are in the vote.
Okay.
Just got to say B. B.
All right, make the recommendation that you do B. I'm sorry about that.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the recommendation is for non-renewal of employee B. Yes, sir.
Is there a motion?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I move that we authorize the board chairperson to execute an order on behalf of the Board of Trustees affirming the non-renewal from employment of a professional employee B, for the 2022-23 school year based on such order being prepared by legal counsel and having been reviewed by the board.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made and second that the board accepts the recommendation of the superintendent and approves the non-renewal for employee B. Are there any discussion, or is there any discussion? Please cast your vote. I'm not going to get the 9 up, okay.
Unanimous.
The motion passes unanimously. Okay, Dr. Wright, do you have a recommendation for employee C?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board would like to recommend non-renewal for employee C as listed in Personnel Report 3.
Do we have someone to make that motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we authorize the board chairperson to execute an order on behalf of the Board of Trustees affirming the non-renewal from employment of a professional employee C, for the 2022-23 school year, based on such order being prepared by legal counsel and having been reviewed by the board.
Second.
The motion has been made and second that the board authorize the board chair to execute an order on behalf of the Board of Trustees affirming the non-renewal from employment of a professional employee B, I'm sorry, C, employee C, for the 2022-23 school year, based on such order being prepared by legal counsel and having been reviewed by the board. Please cast your vote. The motion passes. Okay, 9.3, individual student matters transfer in and out of district. Dr. Wright, is there a recommendation regarding individual student matters transfers into, out of district.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we have reviewed the student matters before us, and we recommend approval of all of the student matter transfers presented in and out of district this evening.
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation regarding individual student matters for transfers into and out of the district.
There is a motion and a second that the board accepts the recommendation of the superintendent and approves the individual student matters transfers into and out of school, out of district. Is there any discussion? Please cast your vote. I don't mess up. And now the board docs.
Unanimous.
Okay, it's unanimously approved. The motion passes. 9.4, resolution authorizing annual 8% general obligation bond through the SCOGO GO program. Dr. Wright, is there a recommendation for the resolution authorizing the 8% general obligation bond through the SCOGO GO program?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, I do recommend on behalf of the Sumter School District that we adopt a resolution authorizing the annual 8% general obligation bonds through the SCAGO GO program.
Okay, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that the board approves the resolution authorizing the annual 8% general obligation bonds through the SCAGO GO program. The resolution reads, authorizing the issuance and sale of not exceeding $20 million general obligation bonds in one or more series in one or more years with appropriate series designations of Sumter School District, South Carolina, authorizing the South Carolina Association of Governmental Organizations to facilitate the sale of the bonds under its general obligation debt program, prescribing the terms and conditions under which the bonds may be issued, authorizing the superintendent of the school district to determine certain matters relating to the bonds, providing for the payment of the bonds and the deposition of the proceeds thereof, and other matters relating thereto.
A motion has been made and second that the board accepts the recommendation of the superintendent and approves the resolution authorizing annual 8% general obligation bond through the SCAGO GO program. Please cast your vote. The motion passes unanimously. We're down to now to the 9.5, the FY 2022 through 2023 budget. Dr. Wright, is there a recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, I do recommend approval of the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget for the Sumter School District. It has been sitting on the docket and is now ready for second reading and adoption.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the second reading and adoption of the fiscal year 2023 proposed budget.
Okay, a motion, is there a second? Second. Okay, a motion has been made and second that the board accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the adoption of the FY 2023 budget. Is there any discussion? Please cast your vote. The motion passes unanimously. 9.6, enrollment of district employees' children.
Madam Chair.
Trustee, is there a motion for the provision of enrollment of district employees' children?
Madam Chair, I move that the board postpone any action regarding the provision to enroll employees' children in a school of choice.
Second.
A motion has been made and second that that we postpone this action to this acting on this motion. The student placement will not be made. Action on this motion. Is there any discussion? Please cast your vote. It's slow tonight.
This is not the right motion here. It just popped up. The motion is to postpone action.
So what now, Dr. Hilton? Did I say that wrong?
The thing that popped up on your screen is not the motion I made. The motion I made was to postpone action regarding the provision to enroll employees' children in a school of choice.
Postpone action regarding what, Dr. Hilton?
The enrollment of employees' children in the school of choice.
Enrollment. Enrollment of, I can't see it up there. Enrollment of what, Dr. Hilton?
I'm sorry, what?
Enrollment of what?
It's 9.6. Look at 9.6 on your screen. I move to postpone any action on the provision to enroll employees' children in their school of choice.
Okay, just, I didn't, it's not, mine is, this is not working. It's not coming up. Okay, and you got a second to that. Am I correct?
We did. I think Brian seconded it.
Okay. And the motion has been made and second to postpone action regarding enrollment of give me the rest of it. Enrollment of, I can't.
Employees' children in their school of choice.
Okay. The enrollment of employees' children in their school of choice.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. But the motion that keeps popping up on our screen is incorrect.
Okay. All right. Are there any, there was a second to that by Brian. Is there any questions to that motion? Please cast your vote. I'm just voting. Mine did not come up. And see, mine's locked in. It's dead. Please give a hand, show of hand if you're in favor of the motion.
We're voting to postpone the motion.
Yeah, postpone the motion.
Postpone action.
Postpone the action regarding. Okay, it's unanimous. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, we're down now to 10.1, approval of the consent agenda. Minutes for June 13th, 2022. With no objection, the consent agenda will stand approved. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. Please continue to be safe and enjoy the remainder of the summer. Continue to keep our students, staff, and administrators or administration in your thoughts as we prepare for the opening of school in August. With no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 9:28 p.m. Thank you. Have a blessed evening.